Hey, good morning. It's January 4th. It's about 46 degrees here, first thing in the morning. I'm getting a kind of a slow start this morning. It's 8:22 this morning. I wanted to take you out to the pasture field and see how the mud is with the cows and how we manage the mud, or the soft weather grazing conditions. We got a new mic for our camera. If you think the audio is a little better, give us a big thumbs up. We've been kind of struggling with the audio on our cameras a little bit. Hopefully it's a little better now. You can see this is my yard. We're laying wet. We've been above freezing for approximately 72 hours. We had approximately 2 inches of snow. It went off here a few days ago. And you can see here I have a wire set. Yesterday morning, whenever I come outside to take care of the livestock, I had in my mind that I was going to have to bring the cows back to confinement, but much to my surprise, the pastures are holding up great. And the pasture that the cows is right out here. We're going to go out there shortly and take a look. The soil type that they're on, it's called Armagh. If you look at the soil description on that soil, it is wetland soil and it's not recommended for agricultural use. Maximum yield on that soil is approximately 6,000 pounds to the acre and are very well managed. However, with the adaptive grazing that we're using, we're seeing yields upwards to 10 to 12,000 pounds of dry matter yield per year on that Armagh soil. So far it looks pretty good out there. We won't know until we get out there. We do have a little bit of mud in along this tree line here where we've been driving a side-by-side, getting back into those fields, taking care of the cows. Let's hop in the buggy and see what it looks like. Hopefully we don't have mud knee deep. That's how it goes sometimes. First initial look at the soil, doesn't look half bad. The stockpile's a little bit shorter than I'd normally graze through the snow. That's why we're grazing it right now. Get a fence set, get the girls moved. Have to put some water in with them. It's been so wet the last couple of days here. There's been puddles in the pasture field where we haven't had to keep water in with them, and today we'll have to. Scout, come. Let up. This here's the stockpile the girls are gonna come into. It has, we grazed this approximately 60 to 70 days before the killing frost. It's an absolutely gorgeous stand of stockpile, but really there's not enough there to graze if we had 2 feet of snow. Get this fence set. We'll take a look at how we manage this so we can keep these girls out. I want to get them moved here quickly because they'll go to a corner as little as 5 minutes. They can have the soil screwed up, so we got to be careful on the first initial move in the morning. Here's a fence post that I've been developing, or in the process of developing. Kind of like the pigtail post, but I don't care much for the pigtail posts. And it seems as though a lot of my O'Briens that are 6 and 7 years old, the sunlight pretty much has them destroyed, and they're just breaking like crazy. And we save those posts. I've been saving all those posts, trying to find a use for them. What I'm doing is chopping them apart and putting those hooks on a steel rod with a welded on step in. I'm trying to find spring steel. If any of you guys know where I can find spring steel at a reasonable price, let me know. What I'm trying to do, I hate the pigtail posts tangle up so much. And those posts there, so far I've been able to make them for $1 a piece. With this hook on here the way I have it, it doesn't really tangle up as much. This is where they were at yesterday morning. Whenever I come out, I was pleasantly surprised because we had rain all night yesterday night, and a lot of yesterday. This is where they were at yesterday morning, and my plan was to set a run and move them back, and I actually had a run set at the end of this field up here. We were going to run them back to the heavy use area. Whenever I moved them into here, I noticed they weren't really doing any damage. They spent all day there until about 3:30 yesterday afternoon. Rained almost all day yesterday. And like I said, it's about 72 hours where we've been above freezing. And here comes the cows, so we better get those girls moved. We're back fencing them today because we want to keep them moving. We don't want them to come back in onto this piece here. This is where they've been since 3:30 yesterday, or 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon until this morning. And we'll move them. We're going to put a back fence on them. And this paddock really doesn't have much water in it, so we're gonna have to put a water tub in with them this morning. Bit of a pain in the butt. Scout, he's laying out there with the cows, goofball. Most of the damage we get in the field whenever we're moving in wet weather conditions is where they come through the fence. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how well that soil's holding up. I think we should go and get a shovel and do a little digging and seeing what's going on. There's a lot of things that are going on here with this field that's keeping us up out of the mud. We grazed this field twice in 2019. This is actually the third regrowth on it. And get my handy dandy shovel, flip a piece of soil up and see what it looks like. There's a mouse. We have thousands of these guys out here. Where'd he go? We literally have thousands of field mice out here. It used to bother me. You look at a healthy living system, there's going to be a lot of animals that are lower on the food chain. And if you don't have any mice, you probably got a problem. You probably heard those roots ripping. It's one of the things that really, you can see the cottage cheese looking soil. A lot of root hairs in there. That's what we kind of like to see. Having that cottage cheese type soil causes a lot of aeration. And the aeration, we can get a lot of water infiltration that way. And having that water infiltration, if the water gets out of the soil quickly, it helps prevent mud. And that's something that we try to avoid at all costs. Naturally, if you have mud, you're killing plants, you kill the plants, and then we don't have nothing for the livestock to eat. See, the girls are out here grazing along pretty good. With having these strong living plants and giving them the extra rest that they need in order to stay healthy, we have larger root systems. We have a lot more biomass on top of the soil. And those root systems and the biomass, I like to think of that as a geotextile fabric. If you know in geotextile fabric, it actually helps keep things above the soil. And that's exactly what's happening here in the cows. Having the water infiltration and the geotextile type. Scout's working on trying to get himself kicked over there. I don't know why he's picking on that cow. Scout, come. That'll do. Good boy. Come here. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. You need to stop picking on the cows. You only pick on cows whenever I tell you, okay? I know, you're a workaholic. And there he goes again. What the problem is this heifer here, she's away from the herd, and what he wants to do is move her back to the herd. It's an instinct the border collies have. But back to our geotextile fabric. This helps keep these girls up out of the mud and help prevent mud and pugging. And yeah, we have, with the water infiltration rates that we've done on the farm, we found that it does cause some compaction issues. But this time of year, compaction is not an issue. Can you do a trick? Roll over. Do a trick for everybody. Good boy. Good boy. Cubby, roll over. Another thing that helps us keep us out of the mud is we try to keep our paddocks this time of year, or whenever it's really wet, we try to keep our paddocks as square as possible. We have them paddocks as square as possible, and there's a lot of forage in there. There's less foot traffic with the animals, which is going to help reduce the mud that you're going to have in your pastures. If you set your paddocks up to where they're long and narrow, there's more foot traffic on those long and narrow paddocks, which is going to cause you more mud naturally. And another thing that we'll do, being that we're up, there's no water laying in this pasture, we're going to have to get water to them this morning. We'll keep water with them, and keeping that water with them, it's going to help eliminate foot traffic back to the water tub. And you know, if we had our water, say, clear back there at the other end of that field, and the cows had to travel clear back to that water site, it's going to cause a lot of foot traffic, which is going to cause mud. Previous video I showed you our matting that we use in front of the tub. We'll be using that. We're going to flip back over to our 55-gallon Rubbermaid tub this morning. We'll come out about dark and flip it over and take it out of the pasture. At the last move today, we'll probably move the cows again in here. I'm gonna say probably around 3 o'clock this afternoon. They're calling for rain here today. This is just exciting, folks, and it's nothing that you can't do on your farm. It just takes a little bit of careful planning and setting things up, and a little bit of management, not overgrazing those pastures. Your root systems are indicative to the plant growth on top of the soil. If we have plants that are 2 inches tall, your root systems are about 2 inches tall, and you can't get geotextile fabric. Oh, Toby's got a mouse. He's eating it. Oh, it's gone. It can be done if you carefully manage your pastures. If you have any questions, please post some comments below. I try to help you out the best I can. It's something you need to think about. We've had our share of learning experiences out on the wet soils. Now I'm careful. I'm very, very careful in what I do. This front field out front here lays wet. It's probably the wettest piece of ground that I have. And naturally, on a day like today, we could never have the cattle out there. So we grazed that off in October whenever things was dry and we could get it grazed off. And we saved this for a wetter time of the year. It's a little bit higher. It has a little bit better drainage in it. And that allows us to keep the cows out there. Okay, friends, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell to get notification whenever we post videos. As always, I'd like to thank our existing subscribers for the support. And if you have any questions, please post in the comments below. I try to help you out. I try to help everyone out that I can. So long. See you next week.